In God we trust. Or do we? Today on the Atheist Viewpoint. Hello and welcome to Atheist Viewpoint. I'm David Silverman together with...
I'm Dennis Horvitz.
And...
I'm Ron Barrier.
What's your name?
Ron Horwitz.
Ron Horwitz.
David
David Horwitz.
Vladimir Barrier.
We're here today to discuss In God We Trust. Everybody knows that In God We Trust was placed on all the money and put in the Pledge of Allegiance by George Washington himself in 1776 because he was a Christian, and just like all the other founding fathers who founded this nation as a God-fearing Christian nation. or something completely different from that.
We're kidding, folks. Please don't change the
Yeah, right.
Please don't change the channel. So In God We Trust is our discussion today. It's our national motto, whether we like it or not. It's one of our two national mottos. The first one, of course, was E pluribus unum, from many comes one.
Which is the one that our founding fathers
Actually,
chose.
it's in E pluribus unum.
What did I say?
E pluribus uno. It's like a pizza.
E pluribus unum?
Well, that's a Spanish version. That's what I say, E pluribus uno.
E pluribus uno?
Unum.
Out of many come one pizza?
I think it's E pluribus unum.
It's E pluribus unum.
It is unum.
Yes.
Did I say uno?
And that was the motto that our quote-unquote Christian founders had for the nation, because the nation had no common identity. Everybody came from diverse backgrounds, diverse countries, and they knew it. So, from many, one
Right.
nation.
Right.
Everybody is included. There's no division in that at all.
And the pizza came later.
And the pizza came later, Dennis.
Except the blacks.
Yeah,
at the time.
and the women.
And the women at the time.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh, and Jews at the time.
They
And
didn't-
atheists.
Yes. And
No, there
atheists.
there were a few atheists in the founding fathers.
Yeah, you didn't
Ah,
say
few
that.
atheists.
No.
But there were no blacks and there were no women. There were no Jews.
Well, let's read this current legislation here. It's House Resolution 13, introduced by Representative Randy Forbes of none other than the great state of Virginia. Is that guy David Vitter from Virginia?
I don't know.
The hooker senator?
Yes.
Who was calling hookers from the Senate floor.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
very good.
That's rock and roll.
Now, this was approved the week of, actually the third week of March, by a voice vote in the House Judiciary Committee. And the measure is expected to move forward for a full vote by the House this April. When you're seeing this show, they will be talking about that.
Now, the purpose of the bill is not to make one nation under God or in God we trust the national motto. It already is. This is one of those bills that really is a tremendous waste of time. And Ron, you should have gotten into this last week when you talked about tremendous wastes of money, because this bill already establishes what is already there. It reaffirms
That's right.
In God we trust.
Can you
And-
say
and
political
what it does,
posturing?
It is all political posturing, and what it's about, what they're trying to do, is they're trying to get In God We Trust on the school walls. You know, the way
Yes.
the way the religious right works is their position is so weak as to disintegrate on its own. Okay, we're talking about an invisible man in the sky. We're talking about a God. We're talking about secularism really getting ready to move in this country. Religion going almost extinct, according to recent reports, in 9 countries. And they're trying to do whatever they can to keep themselves alive. What are they doing? They're using the government to do it.
Yes.
That's what they do.
Yes.
Okay?
That is what they do.
That's what they do. And what they're trying to accomplish with this is to legitimize their mythology by putting it up in schools so that the kids will memorize it. It's exactly the same as one nation under God in the Pledge of Allegiance.
And you're right, David. The hypocrisy flows from these guys' mouths. What's quoted in here is Forbes declared, now he's the one who sponsored the bill, oh, we're not forcing anyone to do anything by enacting this resolution. America, however, I love that.
However.
Yeah, that's the Ralph Cramden, by the way. Right. However, was founded upon the idea of separating government and religion. Public officials swear an oath to God, to defend our secular constitution, which of course they don't even know, not promote the worship of any deity, for Forbes and the groups supporting it say. So, in fact, by putting in God we trust, he's a liar.
Of course.
He is implying that it's his deity that he would like everyone to
admire. Of course,
admire.
it's not in Allah we trust.
Yeah.
It's not in Zeus we trust. It's in their God, capital G, their God, the name for their God, which, by the way, is the stupidest name for a god in world history. It's like calling your dog, dog, or calling your kid, kid.
You know, David,
Okay?
we
But that's beside the point.
since you and I have been doing the show, and for years, I mean, we've covered the subject ever since we've had the show. And since I've been on it, in my other shows that I do, I've always stressed that this issue is not an atheist issue. This is an issue, the separation of church and state is something for everybody to become involved in, and it addresses everybody's concern. And case in point, the Chicago Tribune recently had an article by a woman by the name of Shirley Paulson, who is a practicing Christian scientist. And she wrote an article entitled, In God We Trust, Believers Don't Need Motto to Remind Them. And I'm not going to read the whole article, but she does say, my conscious prayers have never been stimulated by reminders on state buildings.
No. Or recited by, corrupt politicians.
But that's not the point. She's missing the point. It's not about making people feel good about their faith. It's about legitimizing the faith in the eyes of non-believers, or in the eyes of the pseudo-believers. It's about legitimizing mythology to the non-believers. The people who are already believers already think it's legitimate. They don't. You can take all God. Let me make this point very importantly. You can take all reference to God out of every book in every library, which is not something that we're trying to do.
No.
You could take the God off the coins.
No.
You could take God off out of. You could do everything that they're trying to accuse us of doing, and still it will not shake the faith of the believers.
Right.
No.
Okay. Now my point is that all those things are there for the simple reason of pushing that specific religion on non-believers. That's the function.
In other words, the assertion, the alpha male culture, basically asserting itself, pissing on the stump, as it were, and reminding people just to whom this country belongs.
Correct. Correct. They don't care about believers.
Right.
Okay. These acts are not about believers. These acts are
or even belief, really.
Or about belief. It's about submission.
Right.
Really,
That's
it's about submission. It's about submission to them. It's about submission to their God. And you made one slight error there, Dennis. You said that the separation of church and state helps everybody. It doesn't. It helps almost everybody. The only people that the separation of church and state hurts are the preachers and the politicians in their pockets.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Those are the people that the separation of church and state hurts, because they want the church and state to be merged, because they are the church and the state. Get it?
Right.
So they want the separation of church, they want church and state merged. They would say, oh, we want separation of church and state, but we want my religion preached in the public school. But we want my religion preached in the science class. But we want your taxes going to support my churches. Okay? It's all about making sure that everybody observes and legitimizes their religion, okay, and funnels their money towards the preachers and the politicians.
Is it possible that also these slew of religious-tinged resolutions, such as this, such as the In God We Trust, as we talked on the last show about creationism in the schools, or even, as you've seen, several states have passed useless resolutions banning Sharia law in their states.
Yeah.
Is it possible that what we're seeing now is a paranoia from the Christian community, knowing that the Islam is growing in the United States and around the world, and that through their Equal Access Act signed by Clinton back in 1993, when we warned them, don't do this, all right? Because you may be majority now, you may not be the majority in the future. They're going to be afraid that the Islamic groups are going to take advantage of the same religious loopholes that the Christians have opened up.
Absolutely. You know, I've been saying this myself for years, that what's going to happen is the day a small town, for instance, has a majority of Muslim legislators, then you're going to see Christians coming out and saying, whoa, 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 whoa.
Separation.
Church and state.
Yes,
That's
yes,
right.
yes.
All of a sudden,
Oh,
they're gonna-
absolutely.
Yes, yes.
Well, you're hearing it now in Dearborn, Michigan, when the Muslims are playing their call to prayer through their churches on the loudspeakers. People are saying, "Oh no, it's noise pollution." Nobody cares about their church bells.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, it's noise pollution. And now we have a separation of church and state. And Ron, 1,000 years ago, when you and I were doing the show way back when, I remember specifically having this very discussion with you, talking about the Religious Freedom Restoration Act.
Right.
When they are going to want the advantage, as long as the advantage for religion, as long as they are the dominant religion.
Right.
Once they are not the dominant religion, they won't want it anymore. And to answer your question, Ron, is this a byproduct of their paranoia? Yes, it absolutely is, but it's not about Islam.
No.
Okay?
No.
I think it's about
but it's
secularism.
about reaffirming.
I think this paranoia, this new slate of bills, this is the rebound that we've been expecting.
The rise of secularism.
Yeah.
Right.
This is the pushback. And you know, a couple of years ago, I sat right on this stage and I talked to Richard Dawkins and I talked to Ellen and I talked to you about, okay, we've had this surge in atheism in this country. There's going to be a backlash.
Sure.
This is it. Okay.
Right.
Guess what? They're still going to lose. Guess what? We're still going to be stronger. Guess what? We're still going to win this. Guess what? In 9 countries in this world, religion is on such a decline that they're now predicting an extinction of religion in 9 countries.
Right.
That's good
Okay,
news.
that's
Right.
awesome news.
Now that's without banning anything.
And
right?
crazy, none of those 9 countries has experienced a major tsunami or earthquake recently. There's been no tsunami or earthquake in Finland. It's happened in Japan, where it's not mostly secular, or where religion is not on the decline. Actually, Finland's doing fine. Australia, there was a tsunami in New Zealand, an earthquake in New Zealand, but it didn't hurt Australia. It did hurt New Zealand. New Zealand is one of the 9 countries.
It is.
But you know what? Didn't happen to Finland. Didn't happen to the Netherlands. Oh my goodness! Must be complete, utter nonsense.
Yeah.
But my point is that, yes, getting back to it, yes, it's absolutely a result of the growth in secularism in the country. Yes, it's going to be a setback. We're going to lose some of those battles.
Oh yeah.
Okay? So it's important for us to all understand that we've won a few battles, and now we're going to lose a few, and how many we lose is all dependent on how hard we fight, on how much effort we put into this, and how hard we fight. However hard we fight and however much we hold back on this, that's going to make it easier in the coming years to take our next step forward. Okay? So if you could picture, you know, going up a hill, you know, or going down a hill on a bike, and then you go through the valley, and then you come up the other side, and as hard as you push, you know, you keep pushing, and you got to get over that top. Okay? And that's what we have to do. And maybe what we have to do is stop pedaling forward just so that we don't fall back. And we put our feet down and just hold our ground, and then we can move forward from there. So, yeah, this is a result of our progress. Yeah, this is something that we expected. This kind of backlash is something that we expected. It ain't new, and it ain't news.
Right. Well, and, you know, and of course, in something like the banning of Sharia law in Oklahoma.
Yeah, that was so.
I mean, it's blue smoke and mirrors.
Of course.
Because Sharia law is already illegal in Oklahoma, as it is in New Jersey and any other state.
What I want is a resolution banning biblical law also. Let's ban all religious laws.
Right.
Already done.
That's what should be done.
Right.
Already
It would be
done.
redundant to have a bill like that.
Right.
But no, that's blue smoke and mirrors, and it's playing to the audience.
It is, and it's a great big waste of time. It's a great big waste of taxpayer money. the Christians should not be going for this because it's making them look stupid. This is not going to help anyone at all except the preachers and the politicians, and only the politicians that are in the pockets of the preachers. And you know, this coming weekend, they're having a pastoral conference, a pastoral preacher conference in Des Moines, where we're going to be having our national convention in a month, and talking about how the GOP can better kiss the ass of religious conservative Christians.
That's right. By the time this show's airs, that convention would have taken place on March 24th and March 25th.
Right.
A pastor's policy briefing. Now, if that isn't bringing church and state together for politics, I don't know what is.
No, it is. It's a total tool.
What do you need a pastor's advice for? You know, pastors get their authority and their power from the people who give it to them. They have none themselves. And I'll give you a perfect example. When we first inherited the Atheist Viewpoint, and I was doing it with the former president, Ellen Johnson, and we were doing the show on Staten Island, there were a number of pastors, Protestant and Catholic priests, that also did shows. Now, Staten Island Cable used to have annual producers get-together, dinners and stuff. You know, we all get together and toss, discuss ideas and whatnot. And the pastors used to sit at one table. Now, I was a product of Catholic school. If a priest or even a Monsignor walked into the classroom, it was like everybody came quiet. You deferred to their presence.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after Ellen and I had been doing Atheist Viewpoint for a year or so on Staten Island, when I walked into that dinner, it was these religious men who became silent. They had no power over me, and they knew it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, so they just shut up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people, secular people, and people who question their faith have to do. Pull back your respect for these guys. When I was on, did some TV debates with what they call Reverend Lou Sheldon, who I haven't seen around, or Jerry Falwell. I never called them Reverend to their faces. I always just called them Mister. And one time a radio show host asked me, why aren't you calling him Reverend? And I said, I see nothing to revere.
Right. And he certainly ain't my father.
No, and they're not my fathers either, you know.
So we only have a couple minutes left. I just want to close with a couple notes. First of all, we did want to talk about the rapture ram, which we didn't talk about today.
Oh.
But there is going to be a rapture at the end of May. It's, you know, it's the end times, the coming of Christ, re-risen.
Is Mimi Rogers going to be there?
No, actually, it's me. Oh. But that's beside the point. Okay. So we're having a bunch of events around the country. At least, at this point, it looks like we're having at least 3 events. Mm-hmm. One in Oakland, one Oakland, California, where the rapture party, the people who, in my opinion, lie and scam innocent people out of their money, fools out of their money, my opinion. Mm-hmm. If they're located in Oakland, so we're put up a great big billboard. You know it's nonsense, right at the foot of the Bay Bridge. We're putting the exact same billboard up in Houston, and they're going to have a party. And we're putting the exact same billboard up in Florida, and they're going to have a party. All these places are going to be using this incredible joke, right. this obvious con, this obvious scam, in my opinion, to celebrate getting together, bringing atheists together. Yes, the con men are going to make money off of this, and there's nothing we can do about it now. But at least we can shove it in their faces.
Right.
And yeah, we got to do that.
I want them to sign a contract.
Sometimes you got to walk up to somebody and slap them up there and say, duh, you fell for another doomsday cult. How stupid are you? Really? It comes down to it. How stupid are you to believe this again? Mm-hmm. 2,000 years of God is coming any day now.
Get a contract saying that when that day comes, you take possession of all their material goods.
Oh, that won't happen. Because then, and I'm going to predict this now, May 29th and 30th, May 21st is going to come and go, and then they're going to say, oh, we recalculated, it's October. They're already wrapping it up for October. Yeah. Then they'll pull in a little more money.
Well, then there's the Mayan end of the world.
And then the Mayan end of the world. Thank you for watching Atheist Viewpoint. Our website is atheists.org. I'm David Silverman.
Dennis Horvitz.
Ron Barrier.
Thanks for watching Atheist Viewpoint, where reason reigns and reality rules.
All right.
Use your noodle.
Duh.